the worst thing that you could ever do to yourself is peaking early. So trust me when I say that you don't need to starve yourself in order to look better. You don't need the hollow cheeks. You don't need the wide maxilla. You don't need none of that. Unless you haven't accepted yourself without the peer pressure. You know, we see every single day people on TikTok, on YouTube, and so on, looking better than us, and we end up feeling inadequate with our looks and how we are. And the only issue about all of this is not the pursuit of progress in itself, is that we end up being thirsty over things that we want to achieve. And as a result, we rush into things without knowing better, without going through research, without considering that maybe we might regret our decisions. That's what I went through myself. As some of you might know, I used to be really fat. At some point, I was even obese. And not only that, I was the second shortest kid in my class. Everybody picked on me for being short, for being fat, for being ugly. And luckily for me, things weren't as brutal as they are today. However, I didn't accept myself, both internally, from the within, and externally, which is not only how I viewed myself, but how I felt that I was being viewed by other people. So I starved myself. I stopped eating food, and I started running every single day. Running, exercising, and more of that. Eventually, I became anorexic. I developed anemia. My bones were extremely weak for my age. So I couldn't even train anymore because they could literally snap at any time. Even after I gained back the weight, I literally screwed up my bones. Alright? And I'm doing okay now. I am in really good shape, arguably much better shape than most people around me. However, I have one single regret. I will never know how I might have looked if I didn't starve myself, if I didn't try to peak early in order to fulfill the expectation of others. You know, so please do not succumb to the peer pressure. This is the age where you should be trying to play the long game, not the short-term gratification. Try to build your foundations. Try to maximize your genetic potential, and then once you're 18, 19, 21, you can start thinking about min-maxing, looks-maxing, or whatever you want to call it. And yes, I'm not saying, okay, since you don't have to starve yourself, become obese, because that's another issue altogether. But starving yourself, if you want me to break it down into some minor details, will most likely stunt your growth. Okay? You will not grow as tall, to say the very least. In my case, I still grow a lot taller because I was doing lots of sprints, which increase your growth hormone production. I was having a diet that was extremely high in carbohydrates, which promoted my insulin sensitivity. Therefore, protein synthesis was still occurring, and I managed to grow a lot taller during the process by doing my stretching routines, bone cracking, and all of that. However, if I did all of these without stopping myself, I would be even taller than 6'4". For sure. You know what also it affects? Your bone structure. If you deprive yourself from the nutrients that your body needs, what's going to happen is that you will not develop your bones in the same way you could have developed. Perhaps your testosterone levels will be impaired if you're a man. Your estrogen levels might also be impaired. So maybe you will not look as feminine as you might have looked, or not as masculine as you could have been. Maybe your maxilla will not be as wide. Maybe you won't have the forward projection, whatever you want to call it. And you might be even more likely to develop symptoms and conditions such as scoliosis, which I had, kyphosis, which I also had. And yes, there are ways to solve it, even though it takes time. It's a really painful process. It is possible. Nonetheless, why putting yourself through all of that just to have some hollow cheeks? Just to look slightly better than some other kid at school. Like, I know that right now all of these seems like it is everything. But the truth is that you will only be a teenager for this time, between 13 to 19. That's literally 6 years of your time. Alright, 7 years if you count 20s, because yeah, what not. But you still have so much more to live. So is it really worth it screwing with yourself in the long term rather than trying to get yourself up here slowly while trying to increase as much as you can your baseline and then steadily grow, instead of peaking like this and then staying on the sidelines? Anyways, enough yapping. Bye.